What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today I have my mid-season Overwatch Stadium tier list for you guys. And there's actually been that first hotfix update after mid-season, so I'll give you guys the most up-to-date stadium tier list possible. And getting right into it, we're going to start off with D.Va, and I'm keeping her in the C tier. I think the main issue with D.Va is that she's just bad into the tanks that are currently in the stadium pool. Like once Sigma gets added, I think she'll be better. Once Winston gets added, I think she'll be better. I think she has a lot of viable builds, but she's just bad into the tanks. So unless she's like stupid overpowered, I think she's just gonna stay in the lower tiers until they start filling out the stadium roster with more heroes. And D.Va's also the one hero I have a little caveat for. I hear she's insanely overpowered on console. If you're console and you want to put her in S or A, go for it. I don't play console, so I don't know anything about it. But in terms of PC, high elo stadium, I'm gonna keep her in C tier. Next up, we have Queen. I'm gonna put her in A tier. The reason I put her in S instead of A, and is also gonna follow suit with some other tanks down the line, is I don't think there's an overpowered tank right now. I just think there's a few really good tanks that don't really have any, or they don't really have any terrible matchups. They have like one maybe tougher matchup, but like no unplayable matchups, and nothing's like stupid overpowered that like this needs a nerf now. So I think Queen's good spot in A tier. They just buffed her gun build, but I don't think that's enough to really change anything. I think it just brings it a little bit more in line with AP, but I still think AP is the way to go because you get a ton of survivability. Your shout gives you a ton of health. If you go shout resets, you always have your shout up, so it's just a ton of extra health. Axe and blade, maybe even your bleed, but I wish they could test that. But axe and blade for sure, getting more health or more damage off that, which then turns into more sustain for you. I think you got to stay AP with her, but I'm glad they're buffing her weapon builds as opposed to nerfing her AP. I think that's the right move for her. Next up, we have Orisa. I'll put Orisa in the B tier. Sorry about that. I'll put Orisa in the B tier. I think she's actually in a good spot, though. I think they just gave her buffs to the overheat build, which I think was really smart. I was trying to get that build to work like a week ago, and I could not. It was just terrible. It was really awkward. Like, I wish the shield would kind of just deploy in front of you, not wherever your crosshair is. So like, oh, I'm about to overheat. Now I have to like shoot the floor for a second. That was kind of annoying. I'm glad they buffed the burn on that. I think that she needs one more buff to either like the radius of the burn or like one more item that's good for overheat or something like that to really push that build up. But I think overall she's good. She mostly just goes survivability with like maybe a hint of AP or weapon damage. And she's just unkillable. She face tanks everything. She struggles into Zarya a little bit. She's great into Reinhardt. You can also go AP into Reinhardt. I love going deflect build into Reinhardt's because you have your ult up. Just wait for him to throw a fire strike. You deflect it. You get increased ult ratio off of it. I feel like you have your ult up every like 30 seconds late game, and that build's kind of fun. Plus, if they have like Reaper, Mei, Soldier, Ashe, Ana, things you can easily hit your Javelin on, especially from a distance. Full AP one-shot Javelin build's a lot of fun, but like that's very comp specific when you could run it. Most of the time, if they don't have Reinhardt and they don't have a lot of things you can easily spear, just go full survivability with some either weapon or AP, and you're set. Next up, we have Reinhardt. I'm also going to put him in the A tier. I'll put him a little bit above Queen. I think he's maybe in the lower elos. He might be S tier. He just runs through people. Get a hammer build with a lot of move speed. You're just running at everybody. They don't know how to avoid you, how to space you. They run through everybody. But I think for most tiers of play and high low, I think he's in a good spot. They keep nerfing his hammer build a little bit, but like he can still go AP. He just got some buffs there at the mid-season patch, as well as they just gave him a little bit more AP ratio, I think. Yeah, a little bit more AP. Yeah, on dampener's grip. But yeah, they also did fix the feel the burn bugs that were going on, which might hurt him a little bit, but not too much, I think. I rarely went feel the burn, so I don't think it's going to change that much. Yeah, he's got charge, AP, fire strike, and just swing your hammer at everybody type builds. A lot of versatility. They're all equally good. Maybe charges the hair worse, but still overall really good. He's in a good spot. And Zarya, I'm going to put her as top of the trifecta, but they're all very, very close in the A tier. I don't think any one of those three is so overpowered that they need a nerf. That's why they're in A and not S. But Zarya, I think if you go that like life grip or life gate or whatever that bottom left power is that makes your bubbles bigger and a little bit tankier, just so you have like that way in the early game you're getting your charge because it's a little harder to get charge in those first 1 to 2 rounds when people have less damage. So that way you get your charge and you're just outputting a ton of damage. And then late game you can really go whatever you want power wise. There's not many bad options. Then you can mostly go full weapon damage with a little bit of survivability or AP, just so you're not like a full glass cannon. You can survive a little bit, and you're just melting people if you have the aim and the double timings. Just run through everybody. She does struggle a little bit into Reinhardt out of all the tanks. I think Rein's easily her worst matchup of the 4, or a mirror match is probably not as easy. But I think these top 3 also have like a little rock paper scissors matchup too, which is kind of funny. Zarya struggles into Rein, Rein struggles into Queen, and then Queen struggles into Zarya. But like it's not like a hard counter like Diva into Zarya, something like that. They're just slightly harder than the rest of the matchups, but again, none of them are OP. They're all in really strong spots. I don't think you really need to change them too much. Maybe buff up some of the weaker builds, but their best builds. They're not like OP that need immediate nerfs. Now going into the DPS. I'm going to put Ashe in A tier. I think this might be an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people have her in B or C tier, but they just keep buffing her AP stuff. She has so many AP builds. You can go the Coach Gun build where your Coach Gun applies burn, and you double Coach Gun, and then if they're already burning and you Coach Gun them, that's just like an instant like 75 damage, bonus damage, which when you start scaling that up, you have a ton of AP, that's closer to like 200 damage just from a second Coach Gun. You can double Coach Gun and like kill most non-tanks, which is crazy. They just buffed her dynamite builds, so those are going to be a lot stronger. Having good dynamites actually helps the Coach Gun build because they're already burning. It's just a bigger burst of damage. And then Bob builds also scale off AP, which are really good. I think you go dynamite or Coach Gun to start for those first 1 to 3 rounds, 4 rounds, and then round 5, 6, you can start transitioning to a Bob build. You can even do round 3 Bob if you want to, but like there's a lot of build versatility in her AP. And that's just AP. She can also go weapon power builds. She's one of the few characters that can shoot all these flying meta characters like Mercy, Juno, Freya out of the sky. I think those are the main flyers for now. Some people can get some verticality, but those are the main flyers. So she can just go weapon build and like absolutely melt them out of the sky as well. So she has tons of build variety. She can build for any situation that she needs. Even if she's getting dove, that they just buffed her like that health on reload one. What's that one called? Bang, no. Reload therapy. They just buffed her reload therapy power. So if you're struggling getting dove all the time by like a Genji or a Lucio or Reaper or like the Diva Queen in your backline all the time, you can go that as well. You have a ton of sustain that way. So I think she's secretly in a A tier spot. And if she goes under the radar enough, they may buff her into S tier, but I think now low A tier is a good spot for her. She's actually my personal favorite DPS to go. Next up we have Cassidy. Cassidy's going straight into the S tier. I think he's just designed poorly on the initial release, where they have to let his weapon build be overpowered because it's the only thing he can do. Like you can't go AP or like what? You're just gonna throw 40 damage flashbangs at people over and over again. That's terrible. I don't know what Hyde Noon goes off of, but just a terrible ultimate. So even if it scales off AP, still shit. Why would you want to go survivability? Cass, pointless. Like you have to go weapon build, so you can either go fan the hammer, or you can go just regular Cass. So I think those are really the only 2 builds you can go. So that they got to be on the stronger side because you don't have the build versatility that everybody else has. My only other solution to maybe nerfing him without completely reworking his AP build would just be to like give him maybe a lower fall off or something like that, because he can also abuse third person better than like anybody else in the game. I think that's the other reason the weapon build strong. You just use third person to like put your crosshair on their head, peek around the corner, headshot them. That's 75% of their HP. Now you can just body them, they're dead. Like no counterplay to it. Plus, getting pocketed by a Mercy, you're not going to die, and you're going to do extra damage. It's insane how much damage you can do. I feel like he can even like one-shot a Reinhardt shield with his Fan the Hammer build, and you can like 1 to 1.5. So let's say 1.5 clips to like fully kill a Reinhardt or an Orisa if they don't have their defenses up, which is just crazy because those are like the survivability tanks. But man, I don't know how they can nerf him anymore without getting him in the gutter. But I think, yeah, give him some sort of AP build that Reaper has. Make something up stupid like that. I think that's the only way you can solve his weapon power build, because then you can nerf the weapon power build at that point. Okay, now we got Freya. Freya, last week, the first week of her being a stadium, like most overpowered thing I've ever seen in a stadium. Like easy S tier off the bat, but they gave her like, how many nerfs did she get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She got 9 stadium nerfs along with 5 regular nerfs to like the base game, which also do transfer to stadium as well. So like she needed it. She was so overpowered. Like that initial like AP Bola build where you just like have your mini ult up every like 3 to 4 seconds, which is so unfun to play against. So I'm glad she needed that nerf. Plus she was just in the air like permanently. If you weren't a hit scan, you couldn't get her out of the sky. So the nerfs were needed. But with that being said, she's not going as she is going to be going still an A tier. They're making her, or she just is a natural high skill hero. So if you have the mechanics to still pull her off, I think you can still carry games really easily. But you need those mechanics. But now there's windows to punish you. So there's some counterplay. They nerfed some of her CC, and then they nerfed some damage ratios on the AP stuff too. So you're not getting one shot as much. I think she's in a much better spot. So I'm still gonna keep her in A tier. If I'm wrong on this one, and nerfs it a lot harder than I have heard, just because I don't actually play Freya. She's the only DPS in this game that I don't really play. So maybe I'll learn eventually, but for now, I'm just going to stick to people's opinions, plus how I feel playing against her. So I'm going to keep her in the high A tier. Next up, we have Genji. Genji I'm going to put in the B tier. I'm seeing a lot more really good Genjis with their melee builds. Some weapon builds. I know weapon and melee both kind of go off weapon power, but and then you can still go as AP build. I think Genji's in a pretty good spot right now. Really good Genjis I've seen definitely hard carry games, and I'm seeing them quite frequently, but it does take a good degree of skill to pull off. And for the average player, I think he's a little bit worse, just because he does have a hard to execute kit, hard to get value from. But if you're able to get that value, he's still really good. And if you don't have that skill, you're not going to be like a total throw pick. So I think B tier is a good spot for him. Next up, we have Mei. I'm actually going to put her lower than a lot of people. I'm putting her in C tier. She's my favorite DPS in all of Overwatch, let alone Stadium. But I can't play her in Stadium. I think damage is king because everyone inherently gets tankier throughout the game. Damage is king. Her AP builds just don't do enough damage. Like they have to stand in your Blizzard. But what if they have an Orisa or Zarya? Like you're not going to slow them. I feel like every game I play, I'm against Juno Mercy. They're flying. You're not going to wall them. Freya can fly. Kiri can teleport out of things and cleanse. Lucio's and Moira can either fade or they're super squishy. Reaper can wraith form. Soldier has a sprint. Ashe has coach gun. Like Cass has a roll. Like literally everybody has something to get out of all of her blizzards. Like if you put them around your wall or your snowball, I think her AP builds just don't do enough damage. And they're trying to make her like more of a secondary tank, I feel like, with this like latest buff with like increased healing while in your blizzard. She's just a secondary tank, which I think in Stadium damage is king. And so like her AP builds are tough. You can still get some cheeky kills with like the boulder and stuff, or snowball or whatever it is, and just running them into like your wall. You can just get cheeky kills. And I did agree that needed the nerf that initially got, but with that being gone, it's tough. I have seen her have some more success with weapon power builds though, which I think is good. If you're into like Orisa or Junker Queen or Diva, you can go like weapon power builds. Like I think round 1 you get the one that lets you stack armor. And then I don't remember off the top of my head what goes next, but like I've seen some weapon power builds actually have some success, do pretty good if you can land the right clicks, even at like a medium close range. Even you can get some good value off of her. Getting those left clicks to get all the tankiness, get all the extra armor, and then when you're just hard to kill because you have wall and cryo freeze, but you can output a lot of damage with the weapon, I think that's a good spot for me. So maybe if you want to argue a low B tier for her, I'm okay with that, but I'm keep her in C tier. I think Genji is just a step above her at this point in the game. Reaper I'm also going to put in C tier, which I think might be a little controversial too. Not maybe not similar to me. I think the AP build, at least at the higher ranks, has kind of been solved on how to play against it. I think they nerfed the cash you get from AP, which I don't think was the right nerf, but maybe it was. I think it's the right nerf if you gave a compensation buff. I think you need to increase the damage it does. So there's it's not catching anyone by surprise anymore. And people have the ability to get away from it. So I think it just increased the damage it does. So that's maybe like 75-80% of the normal ult damage instead of like 50. Or buff his specific AP item, so he just has like way more AP than everybody else. And that way you can actually get some really good damage off with it. So I think his AP build's kind of been solved to play against. And then his weapon power, he has no poke. Like he has terrible poke. So it takes a while to farm his ult. You have to like go in, shoot until someone turns around at you and try. You're gonna be like in the middle of their team, so they're probably gonna turn around and just melt you real quick. Yes, you can wraith out, but then you gotta like wait 5 to 8 seconds to get your wraith back before you go back in. And if you're not getting a ton of damage early, you're falling behind, and you're not gonna outscale anybody. You're strong in the early rounds, so like if you're not getting that big lead, you kind of become pointless throughout the game. And I've even seen some Reapers that like they do really good in the early rounds, but then like because they're doing well, the enemy tank or somebody built against them, and once you're built against, you're kind of just screwed. So I think could be decent more into like I think he's decent into like Reinhardt maybe. Marissa's hit or miss. D.Va's probably a decent matchup for him too. If you're going weapon power, AP you're screwed if you go against D.Va. But yeah, I think Reaper May. I think they're falling behind in the stadium, or just the other DPS are way too far ahead. One of the two. Next up we have Soldier. I think Soldier is finally in a really good spot. I'm between putting him into a high A tier, sorry, low A tier or a high B tier. I'm gonna keep him in high B tier for now, because I think if like they nerfed his attack visor so it doesn't feel like super impressive to play against. But it's still nice for newer players, or you just want to make sure you hit things out of the sky like Mercy, Juno, Freya. I think that's in a decent spot. This Healer Carcass build, it's not one-shotting anybody really anymore, unless you're like way ahead. I kind of liked one-shotting people. I thought it was a lot of fun, but they gave it a slight nerf. I think it was a little bit justified. So it's still playable, but it's not overpowered. And then they buffed his healing build, which I think is so much fun. I love the healing build. I'm glad they buffed that. So as long as you're not against an Ana, you can run out the healing build. I'd say you're not against an Ana and they don't have too many flyers. Like if they have a Juno or a Freya or a Mercy, I think you're okay. But if they have like all three, don't go healing build. Healing build's a ton of fun. Just run around with your biotic field following you. You do damage. I recommend it if you haven't tried it already. But I think Soldier's finally in a good spot. He was way over 2 in the first like month and a half of Stadium. Now he's in a good spot where not overpowered, but not underpowered. High A, low B. Sorry, other way around. Low A, high B. I'm gonna keep him in B tier for now, but if he gets one more buff to something, I'll put him back in A tier. Next up we have let's DPS. So now I have supports. Ana, I thought about putting her in A tier, but I think I'm actually gonna put her in low B tier. The heat buff in her, I think she is more comp specific, I think. She's really good if you have like a Reinhardt or Orisa. She's alright if you have like anybody else. I think she excels best with like these stationary tanks that don't fly around everywhere. Yeah. She's also not great into Zarya, so like she's not bad with Zarya, but obviously Zarya and Kiriko are pretty good against her because you can stop tons of nades. I think she's comp specific, so she's again good with these tanks. DPS wise, Probably don't want Genjis on the enemy team. Genji Reaper are annoying to play into. Also, DPS are annoying to play into as Ana. Was there any DPS that you'd want to play into? Maybe? But then you can block the line of sight. I don't know. I'm trying to like justify moving on up, but I think overall, if you have a Rhino or a Rasan on your team, you have some good synergy, you can pump them alive. I'm gonna keep buffing nades. Let me see what else is buffed on her. I should hit the bottom. No support. Giving some more survivability with the dash boots and cluster core item. Getting her cooldown a little up on the nade more is fun. Or is good. I'm definitely gonna put some more time into learning our AP builds this week. I love the sleep dart build. It's a lot of fun to do. I'm glad they're buffing the nade builds. I think the cooldown was the thing that was setting her back the most. I think it's a good buff they just gave her. Maybe I could be wrong. She might even be higher in A tier now. But I think she's more comp specific, and that's why I'm putting her in low B tier. She doesn't need buffs. I think plus when like Sigma comes into the game, that's into things that's not bad to play into. Or with for Zenyatta's, again, not bad to play into or against for her. So I think as more heroes come out that she's good with, that'll help her out too. So low A, I think, is a good spot for her. Juno, been here since day one, still in S tier. I don't really know what more they can do to change her, because they gave her some compensator buffs to her ring and black hole. That's also ring powers. So they buffed her ring builds, which I think with the smart play. My last video was just about a Juno weapon build. I think her weapon builds are in like a good A tier spot, A high B spot. Like I think, but everyone's going torpedo builds still. I get it. It's a lot of fun. I don't think like one rounded torpedoes is like too overpowered. I think the part that makes the torpedo build overpowered is when you get two of them, and then if you hit enough shots on two of them, you get the third one. I think they need to rework the cooldown power, like where you get a cooldown reduction based on people hit. I think that's the best way to nerf the torpedo build. Just so it's up less frequently. I think that's the part that makes it overpowered. Or buff the cooldown, but she only gets one. Like buff the cooldown, where like cooldown gets lowered whenever you hit somebody, but then they get rid of her having two. I think one of those changes needs to be made to kind of put the torpedo build in a little bit more even of a spot, but it also just has great sustain and survivability. Maybe they even nerf or get rid of the, I think it's an item that's like whenever you activate your torpedoes, you get like 50 or 100 overhealth. That way she dies a little easier, and she has some counterplay when she's going for those massive torpedoes, because in order to get the 5-man enemy torpedo, you have to like be visible to them. But if you have your like 400 HP and you have 100 overhealth, it's a little bit tougher to kill her. So one of those three nerfs I think is all she needs. Just one, not all three. I don't think it's like terribly overpowered, but still enough overpowered to go into the S tier. Next up we have Kiriko. What do I have Kiriko? Looks like I got her in B tier as well. If this was just my opinion, I'd put her in D tier. I freaking hate Kiriko in Stadium. I think the only thing she's good at is cleansing things on repeat. Like, if you get against a queen, like, where their queen's their hard carry and you have a Kiriko, like, you're doing really good there. Same with cleansing a good Ana. She's amazing cleansing those things. I could say you're being decent into Freya, because a lot of Freya's damage is telegraphed in the fact, like, it hits you, there's a short delay, and then you take it. So maybe into Freya she could be good too. Or even Ashburn with all this Ash stuff going on. I think those four things she's solid into, and that's why we're in B tier instead of C. But I don't think she heals quite enough compared to if you're just going a heal bot build. If you can land headshot, she's obviously really good with damage. It's healing and having some damage in there. You're going weapon build for both those. But, like, you have to be hitting headshots. If you're not hitting headshots, I feel like her damage is kind of weak. For AP builds, she has the clone build too. Actually, the clone build does do some nice distraction, and I'll give it that. But I don't like. I feel like going clone powers and double Suzu powers, but not scaling her AP is like probably her best build. But yeah, maybe it's just a me thing. I have like 3 hours of. It took me like 3 hours of Kiriko gameplay, just to get that one win I needed for MVP. I could not make her work no matter what. I got every other support in like one game. I think I just hit All-Star like a week ago on support. I have like an 80+% win rate on everybody except Kiriko. I'm at like 20%. So I got like 2 wins on her or something like that. Don't like Kiriko in the stadium. But I know a lot of people do, and that's why I'll meet you guys in the middle and put her in B tier. But I can't have her any higher. Lucio, if this was my personal tier list on characters I like to play and carry with, I'd put him in S tier just because I am a god at Lucio. Hopefully we'll have a Lucio Go video coming out for you soon. I haven't recorded it yet, but Lucio and Moira are my 2 favorite supports to play in the stadium, so I'll probably get some videos of them out soon. In terms of Lucio for you guys, definitely above these 2 for sure. I'll put Lucio here. I know they nerfed his healing build, but you still I feel like no matter what Lucio build you're going, you kind of still want to go AP just because you need to get the healing up so you actually can stay in line with everybody with cash. You don't have to go that like boop gives heal round 1 anymore. You can get away with it round 3 or 5 sometimes. But I think double boop builds are insane, especially if you can boop them into walls afterwards for extra damage, full AP that way, where you're getting a ton of healing out for your team, and you have a lot of kill threat, and on a lot of maps, the double boop is what really you can get people off the edge. So you have a lot of carry potential that way. Even when I'm going full AP, I'll have so many games where I'm top fragging damage on and healing on my team. So I think Lucio's in a really good spot. But I know he's not as oppressive. Takes a higher skill threat. I was a top 500 Lucio for I don't know what 10 seasons. So that's my bias in there. I think objectively he's probably B tier. You maybe put him A tier because I know the win rates. He was the highest win rate overall. When everyone thought he was kind of trash. So maybe some people like if we're going raw data, A or S tier. But I think B tier is a good spot. Plus, you can counter like Reinhardt. You can just hard nerf for Reinhardt so like he can't get near your team. Same with Queen to an extent. Zarya struggles a little bit more because of the bubbles. Kill D.Va off people so she can't kill anybody. Orisa, and Orisa like triple tap Tommy gun on Lucio. You get some. That way you're starting to do. She's at like 1,000 HP. You're doing an extra 3% per hit, 3 times. So it's like an extra like 90 damage per time you use a boop or amp it up onto the Orisa. So you can get farm a lot of damage onto Orisas with triple tap Tommy gun. But again, B tier for now. Next up we have Mercy. Now I'm gonna put Mercy. I'm stuck between A and S. And the reason I'm stuck with her between these 2, we're here for now, is not because Mercy is inherently like overpowered or anything like that. It's just she is so great with everything that is overpowered. She's insane with Cassidy. Being paired up with a Juno gives you great escapability and survivability. Plus, you're going kind of tankiness to begin with. Like this combination, I think I went like 10 to 15 straight games only playing against Juno Mercy healer combinations. Like no matter what role I was on, and like that combination is so good right now. But again, I think the reason she's up there is not because she is inherently overpowered, but she enables the things that are overpowered even more. So that's why I'm gonna keep her in the high A tier. Okay, she makes Cass overpowered. Juno actually makes her a little bit better in my opinion, but she also does help Juno out with some weapon or not weapon, torpedo builds. She makes Freya even more overpowered. She makes Ashe even more overpowered. She makes Soldier even more overpowered. She's not good with these really bad DPS. Maybe that could be why I don't think their DPS are that great, is because they keep getting stuck with Mercies when Mercy doesn't help them out as much as the other supports do. Like Reaper, if you have like a Zarya and a Moira, or a Lucio, you get a lot better just because those healers are going to be on the front line with you. Zarya can bubble you. You get more value out of Reaper. Like you don't see Moira, Lucio as often as you see Juno Mercy. So maybe that's what's hurting those DPS down there. Yeah, Mercy, a lot of build variety. I know you can go the Battle Mercy builds. You can go tanky builds. You can go like Valkyrie builds. Plus the res is just so strong on this mode. Res is always so strong. And because she's tanky, you can't really kill her during the res. So yeah, high AT for her. And then Moira to finish it off. If this was the build or a tier list of just characters I would play, I'd put her also. I think her orb build is actually S tier, if I'm being fully honest. People don't know how to build with it yet. Like coming from League the last year or two, I think I understood the good build paths a little earlier than other people. If you just go on your orb build, you go anti-heal, or what's not anti-heal first unless you need it, but you get that purple that like makes your orbs bigger, or like the tether range bigger, so you can hit more people easier. And you just go anti-heal and anti-slow, whatever one you need first, next to the other one. And by round 3, you'll have the 3 orbs and the alternate orb. You're just farming everybody. They can't move, they can't heal. So you have so much utility to your team. You can spend your entire time just healing your tank as your orbs are just bouncing around doing their thing. Like, I'm always consistently 10 to 20k cash above the lobby as well doing that. So like, I think I had 80. I recorded like four games in a day, and then the 5th game I played more, I didn't record it. I had like 85k round 6. Like, I was just farming the lobby. But again, I don't think people are building her right. I think for what people are doing, sorry for that tangent. For what people are doing, I think she's still in the B tier range. I'll put her next to my Lucio. I think that's probably a good spot for her. Because yeah, people are just kind of going raw AP. I think her weapon builds are in the B tier. They're not throw builds. Just the orb build is so strong. I guess they're kind of throw because you're not going orb. Just the orb builds are so freaking strong. Plus you get coalescence constantly. Coalescence super strong too. So I think any changes I need to make here. For people's sake, I'll put Kiriko up a little bit. No, I hate Kiriko. You're going later. Go send it right there. I think this is my final tier list, kind of in order of how everybody's doing. Now, if you want to argue this swap right here, I'll hear it. I could be wrong on Friday too because it's early. And then Soldier maybe going up, possibility, and Diva if you're on console going up. I think that if you're on console, Diva's pretty strong is what I hear. I think overall I'm happy with this. There's not a lot of things that are overpowered that they're just annoying to face every game. I think there's a lot of heroes are in a good spot. Overwatch is really good at balancing the whole cast compared to other games. I know like Rivals and League, like there's always something that's just way overpowered compared to the rest. Stadium we have 2 things. I think they'll work on it eventually. Like in the base game, there's rarely one thing that's like that overpowered that like it's just annoying to play against, and those metas last too long. That's gonna do it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, as it would really help my channel grow. Let the algorithm know there's something worth watching here. Or if you just do you disagree with something that one of my takes, or you maybe agree with one of my hot takes, you have your own hot take you want to express, leave that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.